June 13, 2019, Oracle Arena. Kawhi Leonard hoists the Larry O'Brien Trophy as Finals MVP, having just done something no one thought was possible. Carried a Toronto Raptors team with zero championship history past a two-time defending champion Golden State Warriors dynasty. It's the greatest single-season heist in modern NBA history. 1 year in Toronto, 1 ring, Finals MVP. And then, 6 weeks later, he leaves. Kawhi Leonard signs with the LA Clippers. Same day, the Clippers pull off a blockbuster trade for Paul George. A new super team is born in Los Angeles, and Toronto is left holding a single perfect ring, wondering what could have been. But what if he'd stayed? What if, instead of taking a meeting with the Clippers, Kawhi re-signs with the team that just won him a championship? Does Toronto repeat in 2020? And with the Clippers super team never assembling, where do Paul George and Jimmy Butler actually end up? Let's rebuild the entire 2019 offseason from scratch. To understand how different this timeline gets, you have to understand how close the real decision actually was. Kawhi wasn't just some rental who was always leaving. His camp, led by his uncle, Dennis Robertson, and included his now longtime partner in these decisions, ran one of the most secretive free agency processes in league history. Teams weren't even sure what he wanted. Was it a max contract? Was it proximity to his hometown of Riverside, California? Was it playing with a specific co-star? The Raptors did everything right. Masai Ujiri, the team president who'd gambled his entire front office reputation on the Kawhi trade a year earlier, personally recruited him, reportedly showing up in California to make the pitch face-to-face. Toronto offered a full max deal. They offered the identical money the Clippers offered. On paper, this wasn't about the money at all. In the end, the widely reported deciding factors were proximity to home and the chance to play alongside a second superstar in Paul George, who the Clippers had already lined up as a trade target contingent on Kawhi's decision. That's the hinge point of this entire alternate timeline, because if he picks Toronto, the Clippers never make that Paul George trade. And that single decision doesn't just change one team's future, it changes almost everyone's. Let's start with the team most directly affected, an alternate timeline Toronto Raptors, running it back with Kawhi Leonard actually on the roster. Remember the real 2019-20 Raptors, without Kawhi, still went 53-19, a .736 win percentage, good for the second-best record in basketball behind only Milwaukee, and the second-best team defensive rating in the entire NBA. That's with Kyle Lowry, a most improved player winning Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet emerging as a legit two-way guard, OG Anunoby locking down wings, and Marc Gasol anchoring the paint. Nick Nurse won Coach of the Year for pulling that out of a roster that had just lost a two-way superstar. Now add peak Kawhi Leonard back into that mix. In his one real regular season in Toronto, he averaged 26.6 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 3.3 assists a game, the only player in franchise history to hit that 26-7 line in a season. Then in the 2019 playoffs, he took it even further, 30.5 points per game, still a Raptors franchise playoff record, to go with 9.1 rebounds and 3.9 assists a night, while guarding the other team's best perimeter scorer every single series. That's not just star power. That's a two-way engine dropped onto a roster that already had the league's second-best defense without him. This isn't a rebuild. This is a stacked, top-heavy contender walking into the season as the favorite to repeat, not just from the East, but arguably from the entire league. The obvious question, though, is health. Kawhi's load management approach, sitting back-to-backs, resting on national TV nights, was already a major storyline in real-life 2018-19 Toronto. Nick Nurse and the Raptors' famously conservative sports science staff, the same group credited with keeping Kawhi's quad injury under control during the title run, presumably stays in that same seat, managing those same minutes. If anything, this timeline gives his body exactly the same care that got him through 2019 healthy, instead of the more aggressive. He's your franchise cornerstone. Play him, workload he took on with a desperate Clippers team a year later. Talent's there, but does a healthy, motivated Kawhi-led Raptors team actually go back-to-back? The East was loaded. Milwaukee had the league's best record with an in-his-prime Giannis, before flaming out to Miami in the second round. Boston pushed the eventual champs to 6 games. Toronto's length, switchability, and Nick Nurse's coaching are practically built for the bubble's slow, half-court style. And in this timeline, Kawhi never takes on the heavier workload that led to his real injury issues in LA, same conservative program that got him through 2019 healthy. Most likely call: Toronto beats a shaky Miami team, then moves on to a Western Conference that looks completely different because Paul George never leaves Oklahoma City. Here's the real data behind that call. The Kawhi-less 2019-20 Raptors still went 53-19, second best record and second best defense in the league. Now look at the team Kawhi actually joined. The real Clippers with Kawhi and George finished 49-23, then blew a 3-1 lead to Denver in the second round, one of that postseason's most infamous collapses. Meanwhile, the actual Kawhi-less Raptors swept Brooklyn, then took Boston to 7 games. 53 wins and elite defense versus a 3-1 collapse. That's a real signal about system fit, not just star power. And the Lakers 52-19 and Heat 44-29 both reached the finals without needing a Paul George-powered Clippers team to clear their path. So removing that super team doesn't obviously hand them anything new either. Paul George's whole path only happened because Kawhi chose LA. In reality, George requested a trade the moment Kawhi signed, and the Clippers gave up Shai Gilgeous-Alexander plus 5 first-round picks to get him, one coordinated move. Remove Kawhi, and George almost certainly doesn't ask out. Most likely, he and Westbrook run it back in OKC for at least one more year, a solid playoff team, nothing splashy. Sam Presti doesn't get the draft haul that eventually rebuilt the Thunder around a completely different young core. Jimmy Butler's move to Miami, though, wasn't connected to any of this. It was its own storyline. He'd already made clear he wanted out of Philly, and Pat Riley had been clearing max cap space for years. That domino most likely stays exactly the same. Butler goes to Miami regardless, which means the Heat's real finals run in 2020 survives this timeline untouched. And that sets up something interesting. Toronto and Miami might have met in the conference finals anyway, just with a different result. The team that loses the most here, the Clippers. No Kawhi means no Paul George trade, no instant super team. Steve Ballmer doesn't get his marquee moment, and neither does the eventual collapse against Denver, because there's no super team there to collapse. Sometimes the biggest what if isn't who wins. It's an entire era of a franchise's story that never gets written. So here's the verdict. Toronto enters the bubble healthy, top 2 in basketball, without the workload issues that hit Kawhi in LA. Milwaukee still likely underperforms. Miami's run stays mostly intact, meaning Toronto's path to a repeat runs through Jimmy Butler's Heat, a series they'd be favored in. On the other side, a Lakers team led by LeBron and Davis is still the West's likeliest representative, largely untouched by any of this. Most defensible call: Toronto repeats, beating the Lakers in the finals, and Kawhi cements himself as a 2-time champion on one franchise, not 2. That's speculation, obviously. Miami could still find a way through, and the West bracket could shuffle. But the pieces line up cleaner for Toronto here than almost any other 2019 what-if.